let us talk a little bit about binge eating. So before I did the break-free course, I had done a binge eating course that was more based on what worked for me and my strategy. It has been pulled. I don't have it available right now, but I do want to talk to you about the steps I took and why I did it, so that way you can maybe look at this whole system a little bit differently. So first off, binge eating is normally going to stem from one of two things. It's either a struggle of excessive dieting and deprivation that has caused a horrible cycle of binging and then restricting. And so if that is what you're struggling with, the break-free course is really the optimal place to start. Then there are all the psychological reasons why we might be binging or overusing food for emotional reasons. And what I found for myself was I had to approach the problem totally differently. So I was one of those people, I had both issues going on at the same time. I was overly restricting, binging, cycle repeat. And I was also struggling with all the emotional reasons that I didn't want to address initially, and I had to deal with that. And what I kept finding for myself was I would wake up every day, really good intentions. Heather, today's the day you're not going to binge. You are going to totally, eat all the food you pre-planned and pre-tracked, and it's going to be a great day. I had to decide in my journey that the hierarchy of importance was no longer weight loss. My binge eating is why I hit 300 pounds, not just from an occasional overindulgence here and there. And I had to say the most important thing was realizing I had to allow for recovery with my binge eating, which meant the weight on the scale was less important, okay? And the way that looked was this. If I keep trying to stop a binge from happening and it keeps occurring, and I feel horrible about myself, and that cycle continues, right? So binge A then becomes binge B and C, and before I know it, an entire week has gone by. And I could not stomach continuing that process. So what I said to myself is, Heather, you're not doing a really great job of preventing a binge. Like with all of these techniques and resources, they say, take a bubble bath, go walk and talk with a friend. That never worked for me. So what I started to do was say, okay, where can you start to break the cycle, right? I restrict, I feel badly, I binge, I feel badly again, I have the what the heck thought process, I continue the binge the next day, the next meal, I keep eating off plan, I'm just not stopping this, right? And then finally, I decide at some point, whether it's days, weeks, or months later, that I'm ready to clean up my behaviors and I'm going to start another diet, right? And the whole cycle repeats. So I said, you have ultimate control after a binge happens. At that point, I'm fully satiated. Yeah, I'm not particularly happy with myself. I'm not happy with the situation, but I feel in control of me. So in that moment is where I made the change. I said, okay, you're not going to then have the what the heck thought. You are going to get back to your normal meals, okay, what you had pre-planned and pre-decided. You're not going to skip meals. That was the other thing I was really notorious for doing. I'm going to make up for the calorie deficit. I'm going to skip meals or eat light or overly exercise, right? I was not going to do that. I then was going to journal to the best of my ability what happened, what led up to it, what I actually consumed, because that was the other thing. I tended to say, well, I've already consumed so many calories, what's another fill in the blank 500, right? So I journaled everything. I continued to weigh myself, not allow the binge to derail me from my normal, what I was normally working on. I just showed up and then that was the reality. But normally I would hide out from the scale because I would allow the binge to go on for so long and I was so embarrassed about how my weight was changing that I just wanted to stop the entire process. So where I changed it was the binge happened, stopped trying to fight that, decided that the next meal I was going to be back to my normal eating. I was not going to allow that to derail me. I was going to continue to weigh myself. I was going to continue to track my food to the best of my recollection of what I ate. And then over time, I built a lot of self-trust. I realized I could control what happened after the binge. I was able to make progress with my weight loss very slowly, but it was still progressing. And I was starting to see that really I had a lot of control. And that really helped me tremendously in gaining momentum over my binging. And then there became a point where I stopped doing it less and less. And that's what we're looking for: delayed frequency and delayed kind of impact, if you will, on your eating and your behaviors. So I wanted to share that here because, like I said, that used to be something that was in my old binge eating course, and I don't believe it's available anymore. But that's kind of how I started, not avoiding and preventing binges as much as dealing with how I changed my response afterwards. I hope you have a great day, and if you have any questions, let me know.